Hi, this is Ravi Narayan, mentor at MentorSquare. Earlier, we had discussed an opportunity for a paid SMS service for parents who are looking to keep tabs on their kids' activities, progress, and also get alerts on red flags. Now, this looks very interesting. You can actually feel the need for this. But the question is there a business here? Let's look at this from a crass commercial angle and find out if indeed it's a profit making enterprise that you can build about the solution that we come up with. So, what is the opportunity? The opportunity is to provide this service, and this service is large. It's a non transient one. Indeed, the parents are going to get more and more busy, and therefore the opportunity will only grow, it won't go away. How large is it? It is quite large. The available market is all the students, parents that are looking for this kind of information, which hopefully will grow over time. However, the need is something that has to be assessed to see how deep it is. The entrepreneur says that he has spoken to several parents in his own children's school and in other schools as well, and all of them agree that this will be a wonderful idea to actually put together. Is it a real need? Yes, it's a real one. But how intense is the need, as we were talking about before? If you ask me, this is more of a need of the vitamin type, as in, it's not something that is mission critical. It'll be great to have this information, but even if I don't have this information for a couple of days, things don't come to a stop. It's not a painkiller, as in, without which the parents will just have to do something very, very drastically different. Life will still go on. It is actually filling a gap, a critical one at that, in getting the parents more and more involved with the students' progress. But it's not something that is a painkiller. It's the more of a vitamin variety of need. The entrepreneur is wondering who the customer is. And sometimes it becomes quite confusing. Is it the parent? Is it the student? Is it the teacher? Or is it the school? Well, let's look at who is paying for this. The parents are paying for this. So, parent is the customer. But along the way, it should also be understood that the school and the teacher have to do their parts so that the information that is generated on a normal course of their activities actually gets captured and transmitted to the parents as well. So, there is an additional amount of work, however small it may be, but there is an additional amount of work, there is an additional amount of selling, as in getting people bought into to make this service happen. It won't happen automatically that the data is sitting someplace and it's getting transmitted quite seamlessly. So let's look at the entrepreneur and see if he is actually capable of doing this. Interestingly, the entrepreneur comes from an IT background, and the solution that he's looking to create is not a very complicated one. Most of the elements of the solution already exist. So, by the same token, there is no barrier to entry from an IT standpoint. There is no barrier to entry from creating any kind of an IP or intellectual property in this case. Therefore, while it is interesting to actually put this thing together and it does serve a purpose, it is very hard to figure out how this is going to be any different from somebody who will do this as an auxiliary service to something else that they're doing. The entrepreneur is also quite a resourceful person. He can tap into a much larger set of people to bring in the other competencies, maybe even tap into some investors to build the business out. So, from that standpoint, it's not too bad in terms of the risk factor involved with the entrepreneur himself. He has the competency, he has the resources to take it to quite some extent. So, what are the risks? The risks are that there are multiple stakeholders that need to be brought into this and made to buy in to make this whole solution work. The school has to know what's in it for them, the teachers have to know what's in it for them to be made effective. And so there's some amount of selling that has to happen to make the solution work. If they don't support it, the teachers don't support it, the school doesn't support it, this whole solution is a non-starter. And of course, as we discussed earlier, the low intensity of the need could also make this entire solution quite a risky one, could make this business a risky one. Let's look at the cost of sale. The cost of sale in this case is rather high because the entrepreneur has had to go several times to convince the school to be a part of this whole solution, and they had to do multiple rounds of marketing to the parents to start picking up subscriptions, and at the same time continue to stay involved to bring in more and more parents into the fold as time went by. In fact, this amount of investment into getting business off the ground is rather high, given that the subscription fees that they're going to collect is comparatively low. Therefore, if you look at the profitability of the enterprise, it would still be something, looking at the numbers, a difficult case to make in terms of profitability. Looks like it's going to take at least 6 months for it to break even, and then getting to some healthy profits would take even longer. The scalability of the solution, it could be very high, but at the same time, marketing this kind of a solution in schools and other places may not be that simple and easy. Therefore, even though the need is a non-transient one, the business is there, may not be very profitable, may not be very scalable. It is indeed a sustainable business to a large extent, but if you look at it from a crass commercial standpoint, it may not be very sustainable because the margins of profits, the amount of effort that needs to go in to make this thing work for you may not be that very interesting after a period of time. Given that the capital costs are high, costs of sales are high, and the ongoing costs are also high, this is a very tough business model. The need for this business is not very high. Sustainability, profitability, and scalability are in question. And I feel that there is no business here. Thank you.